Hey, I'm Shane. In this video, I'm going to do an overview of the exotic rocket launcher called Dragon's Breath in Destiny. As usual, I'll go over the stats of the weapon, look at the skill tree, and I'll compare the different options that you have side by side. First of all, this is a DLC weapon with the Dark Below, and you get it as usual through RNG from random game completions, or you can buy it from Zerg, which is how I acquired my version. He sold it once and I'm not sure when he's going to sell it again, because it's random. I'll start off my review by looking at this gun's strongest feature, and unfortunately that's its appearance, because it's not a great weapon, in the damage department or in the perk department. So, the gun has a few neat features about it as far as appearance goes. It has a pretty darn rad paint job, which reminds me of a World War II bomber plane, or something like the Halo 3 flamethrower, which may have been this gun's inspiration. It has a couple unique animations with it as well. It has little vents that run along the top of the gun that actually heat up and turn red if you fire the weapon and cool down after a few seconds after you fire. It also has a little smoke trail which comes out of the top of the weapon. You'll see it if you're holding it, but even if it's on your back, it will follow you around, and if you turn around quickly, you can actually run into your own smoke cloud. This is pretty cool because no other gun has like a passive effect that goes on constantly while you're using it. And it's kind of funny because you can run into your own smoke cloud, and that's how I initially discovered it, because it was kind of confusing me why I was constantly having a smoke cloud around. So, the skill tree. The rocket launcher deals solar damage and has a pretty huge blast radius, and it's the best of the exotic rocket launchers. But this does not compensate for its lack of velocity, which is awful. In hitting targets, it's incredibly hard over a large distance because the rockets are so darn slow, and the targets can literally just like take 2 steps to the left. And the blast radius can catch them, but it's not great. So the first 3 upgrades are the recoils, and I'm not going to go over them side by side as I would with a normal gun review, because these differences are so marginal with a rocket launcher. The 3 are smart drift control, linear compensator, and confined launch. These 3 all are okay, but you want the highest velocity, so the best thing you can do here is go with confined launch, I believe, because you want the highest velocity with your weapon. The next up is tripod, which allows you to have 3 shots in the chamber. This is kind of like a gimmicky perk because I wish it just came by default with 3 shots in the chamber. It's kind of a waste of a perk, but anyways, I cannot complain because 3 shots is very nice. And this allows you to get 3 shots off per reload because the reload's very slow with this weapon. It's a good trade-off though, because 3 shots is usually how much you pick up when you pick up heavy ammo. And if you don't have any raid boots on that allow you to have more heavy ammo, or exotic boots that would do that, this is awesome because pretty much all your heavy ammo is in one round. Then there's Quickdraw, which allows you to draw the weapon incredibly fast, Javelin, which increases the warhead velocity, and then Heavy Payload, which increases the blast radius. The choice here is quite clear again, as Javelin is the best option here. It will allow you to get more kills and quicker. The blast radius is already pretty much maxed out on the weapon, so there's no real benefit in having a larger blast radius. Though, if you want to be a rebel, you can use this perk. I just don't recommend it. Quickdraw is not necessary with a rocket launcher because you're not going to be going to it very quickly very often. The last perk is its most important, and that's the Pyromancer perk. It allows you to have a solar flare spawn after the rocket detonates. This is like what the Warlocks throw for their solar flare grenade, and it's very nice. It allows you to deal damage over time on a large enemy that's not moving, and block doorways if enemies are going to come through them, or if enemies spawn in that doorway. But it only lasts a few seconds, and the whole point of a rocket launcher really is to deal large amounts of damage all at once. You could argue that the solar flare allows you to deal more damage than other rockets in the game, but that's over time. In reality, enemies are mobile, and you can't really get them if you're just firing a stationary solar flare. And with such a large blast radius that this weapon has, the explosion knocks them out of the radius that the solar flare would put them in. And if you're going to deal damage over time, just switch over to a machine gun and you will be much more happy just firing on that one enemy, and you can control actually how much damage you input on them. So, after being so critical of the gun, I'll try and say a few good things about it. As I said, it's great at blocking doorways, and that's what I use it for usually. I usually try and get a large group of enemies, and then the solar flare is nice because it stops them from going to that location. And a well-placed rocket can take out a lot of enemies at once. Online, this rocket's pretty cool because if you hit a control point, you can get a cluster of enemies and kill them all. But with the lack of tracking and the low velocity, it makes those kills very elusive, and it doesn't give you an advantage as other exotics would. It's just a solid rocket launcher. So overall, the Dragon's Breath is good, and I give it 2 thumbs up for the artist that crafted it. It looks really nice and it's super unique, which is cool. But as far as exotics go, it's not a great rocket launcher, and if they're selling it, you don't need to buy it. But I don't recommend spending strange coins on it, but if you have a few to spare, you might as well add it to your arsenal. Thanks for watching the video though, and if you have any questions, just drop a comment below and I'd love to answer them. Please consider subscribing and checking out my other videos. Thanks though, and hope you have a great day.